So you're trying to grow that demon back, but back training tends to get kind of overcomplicated. No worries, because today I'm gonna keep it simple, but super effective. Here are the only 3 back exercises you need to actually grow a demon back. Dumbbell only edition. Let's get to it. When it comes to categorizing back exercises, first I like to categorize it by the actual muscle group you're training. So when it comes to your back, what you usually think of are your lats, mainly divided between lower lats and upper lats. And then to make things super simple, everything above your lats can get lumped onto one group known as the mid to upper back. This encompasses your traps, rhomboids, literally the muscle groups above your lats. With that in mind, how to bias the various parts of your back namely comes into 2 different factors. First off, it's gonna be the position of your shoulder, whether you're gonna be more flared or more tucked to your side. Then the second factor is whether you're gonna be doing more of a horizontal pull or a vertical pull. I'm gonna show some examples of each thing on screen. So if you're able to do various back exercises with different shoulder positions and pulling both horizontal and vertical, then you have yourself a pretty well-rounded back routine. So with that in mind, let's get to the first exercise. And then I'm ditching the pump cover because when it comes to back training, it's already hard enough to see yourself working your back. I always recommend wearing some sort of like cutoff because you can actually see yourself in the mirror, stretching and then contracting. So you can pretty much wear whatever cutoff you want, but I got the Able gear on, of course, TylerPath for 10%. These pants are super good length for someone who's 5'6". I've never had pants that actually like fit this well. So if you're interested, definitely show some love. But let's get to the first exercise. All right, so I know technically speaking, this is not necessarily a dumbbell exercise, but when it comes to vertical pulls, it's kind of hard to do vertical pulls with just dumbbells. I figured this will be more accessible than, let's say, a lat pull down. And if you're strong with pull-ups, in order to add progressive overload, you can use dumbbells as a way to just add weight by essentially just nestling it in between your feet like this. Now the reason why I included this was because this is gonna be your best lower lat focused exercise. Because you're getting that wide grip, you're able to pull more in your frontal plane, so arms out here rather than in front of you. And of course, if you're trying to grow a well-rounded back, lower lats are gonna be important. So I didn't want to skip out on this. If you don't have access to this captain's chair machine necessarily, pretty much any bar where you can kind of overhang your body on will work, but it's gonna be the first exercise. Now these next 2 exercises are actually gonna be strictly dumbbell. So if this wouldn't be possible, then move on to the next 2 exercises. Let's get it. Ooh. All right, second exercise, an actual dumbbell exercise, is the unilateral dumbbell row. Now there's a couple variations I see people doing this. Some people keep their other leg on the bench. I personally prefer being planted to the ground with both feet. I think it's more stable overall. And the goal with this exercise is it's gonna be an upper lat focused back exercise. Meaning what I wanna do is make sure I'm keeping my arms closely tucked to my body throughout the entire range of motion. I don't want my elbows to kind of drift outwards. I want to keep them pretty much at my side. Now, if you've been watching a lot of my videos, you're probably gonna be super strong, so you might run into the issues with the dumbbells getting caught around your thigh. So what you can do is pivot a little bit outwards to actually avoid this. Now, some people on social media also, they tend to kind of like swing low, kind of do this like, instead of a direct pull upwards, it's more like they're swinging. I wouldn't say that's necessarily how you should be doing it because it's just gonna limit the load. What I like to focus on is keeping my arms tucked to my side, elbow the person behind me. I'm not gonna be pulling up high like here, which is gonna cause me to feel a lot more in my biceps. Instead, I throw that elbow back, limiting the elbow bend to around that 90-degree angle. That's gonna be how you're able to bias your upper lats if you have trouble with feeling it more in your biceps. Okay, so that was the second exercise. Moving on to the third and last back exercise. Of course, it's gonna be a mid-back, upper back focused one. Third exercise we got is a chest supported, wide grip pronated dumbbell row. Now the focus for this is to bias the mid-back, namely your traps and rhomboids. Again, the key thing with biasing your mid-back when you're doing a row is your shoulder position. Notice how I'm pulling with very flared elbows. You want to keep this wide angle when you're pulling in order to bias more of your mid-back. Now pulling like this alone wouldn't really suffice. I also recommend squeezing your shoulder blades between every single rep you do. Essentially, your rhomboids contribute to scapular retraction. So if you're having your shoulder blades come apart as you go through the eccentric and then squeezing them together, when you actually pull for the concentric, you're gonna be able to even better bias those muscles. So you're gonna notice you're gonna have to go a little bit lighter than with the previous exercise when you're doing this, just because moment arm's gonna be a little further away from like your body, right? I recommend doing it chest supported rather than bent over, because ultimately you have more stability. What stability allows you to do is to, instead of focusing on your lower back and keeping you in that bent over position, all you gotta do is just kind of lean yourself over, and because you're already stable, you can better focus on, again, squeezing your back between every single rep, which actually has been shown to translate to better high threshold motor unit recruitment, which is essentially you're involving more muscle fibers if you're more stable. Now, normally, to even milk out even more effort, we could do this unilaterally if it wasn't for one big thing, and that is when you're having your elbows out here and you're trying to pull, doing this unilaterally is gonna feel rather unstable. And if you lose stability with doing a single arm movement, you're just better off doing it bilaterally, because again, stability is ultimately king when it comes to trying to grow whatever muscle you're trying to grow. So that's pretty much it when it comes to exercises. But before you get off, I want to also give you some advice that will actually help you get even more out of your back exercises. So let's get to it. I don't want my shirt off, but the last advice I want to give you is make sure to control the eccentric on all these exercises I showed you earlier today. The big thing with back is a lot of people tend to neglect the eccentric because there's no penalty with doing so, right? Nothing happens. Unlike with a chest exercise where if you don't control the eccentric, well, you got literally a bar coming down at you, right? What I like to do is attaching a 2 to 4 second eccentric on all my back exercises. This helps me be mindful of actually, for one thing, better controlling the movement, but also if you struggle with, let's say, mind muscle connection, controlling the eccentric will help you do so. But I think the most important factor on why you should control the eccentric is it is essentially half the movement. In fact, you're normally stronger with the eccentric portion. So as you fatigue and hit failure on the concentric, what you can always do is slow down the eccentric so that you kind of milk out every last inch of effort, which long term will help you, of course, build a demon back, build a bigger demon back overall. But with that in mind, it's time to pose. Hope this video is helpful to y'all that are limited on equipment. You don't really need much to actually grow your back ultimately. I know it tends to get overcomplicated, there's so many different movements, but this is literally what I do if I only had dumbbells left. So leave a like if this was helpful to you. Subscribe if you want to see more content just like this. Level up your physique, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.